So good morning. My name is Dan Kalenda. I'm a member of the Southborough Board of Selectmen, as well as a member of the Economic Development Committee. And just want to welcome everyone to the first breakfast that we have between bringing our brokers together, bringing officials from the town together, as well as members of our financial services community. It's really a wonderful opportunity to network, as well as an opportunity for people to see what properties are available in Southborough, and also, why Southborough. Southborough is an absolutely beautiful community, centrally located near major thoroughfares, but also incredibly rural. And so we can bring both of those dynamics together. It's a great place to raise families, as well as a great place to grow our businesses. So I want to welcome everyone today. I'm a member of the Southborough Board of Selectmen, along with Selectman Paul Cimino, who's also here today. Paul.
Hello. Good to see everybody.
We have the chairman of our planning board here, Mr. Morris, Don Morris. Great to see you as always, Don. And I just want to really thank everyone for coming. This is the first one of these that the Economic Development Committee has done, hopefully the first of many. Really a great way to bring together people in the real estate business, as well as some folks from our financial services industry. Santander, did I get that close? Santander. Santander. Okay. Anyway, thank you for doing this. Pam really has done an incredible amount of work in putting this together. Unfortunately, Dave McKay, who's the chairman of our Economic Development Committee, could not be here today, but on his behalf, welcome. Also, Mr. Robbins here from the EDC, so great opportunity, as well as Tom. So a great opportunity for everyone to network together and learn a little bit more about Southborough, which I've been living here for maybe around 20 years and absolutely love it. Outstanding schools, great access to obviously some major thoroughfares, in a beautiful area to not only raise a family, but also grow a business. So with that, Pam,
Thank you.
Thank you,
Dan. I appreciate that. So can everybody hear me? I'm not really a big booming voice, but
yeah.
just
You're
so
good.
you know. So welcome everyone to our first Economic Development Committee Broker Breakfast. And you're going to ask, well, what am I doing here? What are we doing here? So we're here to work in partnership with the EDC and the commercial brokers. Working with the commercial brokers as an Economic Development Committee is a national model for partnership. So this isn't only happening in Southborough, but across the country, on how we can make our communities a better, more thriving place to live, work, and play. And I know you've heard that buzzword a lot, and it actually originated in Massachusetts. I think it originated from Needham, which has started a trend across the country to live, work, and play. So welcome, meet the EDC. I am the Economic Development Coordinator. My name is Pam DiGiovanni. I've had many hats in state government on the federal, state, and first-time local level. And one of the main themes that I'd like to promote is not only policy, but it's also partnership. So the committee specifically was created by the Board of Selectmen, and it's a 10-member committee that consists of volunteers. They're citizen volunteers that know the importance of the fluidity of the economy and the cornerstone that businesses play within the town. And so I'm also part of the committee, and I work as an ex officio member. So the mission of the committee is to boost the tax revenue to the town and work to incorporate the thriving of businesses within the community. And we're working together in this ecosystem of lenders, participants, and businesses and municipalities on the federal, state, and local level to create an environment that really thrives. So one of the analogies that I got yesterday when on my drive home from work was, remember in high school how you had those SAT questions like a dog is to cat as mouse is to kangaroo, and you're like, well, you could pretty much correlate anything to anything. So I I love those correlations, and I learn through analogies. So one of the analogies I have for economic development is the economic development in a municipality or a city is like a circulatory system in a body. You have the veins, which bring things to the heart, and then the arteries that bring it away, which is basically like the financial flows of the economic development. And then you have the organs in the body that help facilitate and either filter the flow and pump the body to really make it a healthy working system. So these other entities, like the lungs, the liver, the kidney, are the different departments within a municipality that help the flow. So the tax revenue goes into the municipality, then the municipality flows those revenues back out to the community. And it's a give and it's a take, and it's a give and a take, right? And every single part of that body, if it's going to work properly, needs to be working in a healthy manner. So all the departments need to be working together, just like the heart, organs, brain, and so on and so forth, to continuously make that flow work. And within that flow, you have the platelets and the antibodies and whatnot, and that's us. Still continuing to keep that financial flow of economic development working. So what happens when some department is either not working correctly or not working till its full capacity? What's the prescription for that in economic development? Does anybody know?
Disaster.
No. What's the prescription? If there's a blockage or something needs to, what's the prescription? The prescription for that is customer service. Customer service is the identity. And the EDC creating the Economic Development Coordinator is one of the prescriptions to helping to facilitate this flow within the community. It's tax revenues going into the community, it's tax revenues going out, and it's all facilitated through the business. So that's my little dog is to cat as mouse is to kangaroo analogy. So we have 3 goals of the EDC. First goal is to enhance and encourage new and existing businesses to stay, sustain, and thrive in Southborough. We want to remove barriers to conducting business, aka customer service, customer service, customer service. You know, you're only as good as your team is. So again, it's helping that flow. Let's assist with the planning of these developments and the financial aspects. And it takes a team, not just one entity working together. And again, we want to grow local, regional, and statewide partnerships that will advance the economic development vision. So that's creating the identity of what economic development is to the town. And each municipality and city is different, just like people are different. So, you know, you want to we crafted a vision that is specific to Southborough, and we're working with each member of the business and the lenders and the commercial brokers on a very individual level. Partnerships with purpose, not just partnerships, but partnerships with purpose. One thing that makes Southborough unique is it's 19 different industry sectors. When I first saw the Economic Development Coordinator position at Southborough, I was like, oh, Southborough. You know what Southborough is not? Southborough is not the sleepy bedroom town. It's not the sleepy bedroom town. Southborough has 660 businesses in our community. It employs 7,500 employees, and it's $500 million of payroll. Say it again, people. $500 million. It's roughly $540 million in payroll alone in our town. So that's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. And of those 660 businesses, about 240 are DBAs, doing business as. And a lot of those doing business as, they grow and they need more space. They need more room. They want to grow, and we want to keep them in Southborough. So who is this ecosystem that we're all working with? We have three of our largest employers in Southborough are nonprofits. They're also part of the community. We have, you know, many private enterprise, free business, and flow. We all work together. Municipal, state, and federal leaders, commercial brokers, and lenders, because we're all in the forefront. So what I'm hearing, you know, a lot of time businesses that are growing or need or want to be retained, they're calling town hall, you know, and some people, they don't know where to start. So they're calling town hall. Where can I go? Where can I grow? What do I do? A lot of people have a different approach, and they're calling the brokers or they're calling the lenders. You know, how much money can I get to expand? So it's imperative that working together as a team to champion the same mission and vision is creating strategic goals and plan and working together. All right, let's get down to some meat and potatoes. The town of Southborough, we have some surplus properties that the Board of Selectmen agreed to move a warrant article to town meeting to agree to dissolve these properties. These properties that are coming up, town meeting is April 11th, so we'll know more about that after that meeting. And they are 42 Central Street, which is the Fayetteville Hall, 40 Central Street, which is currently an empty lot, and 2 Harrington Street, which is the former fire station. So at this point in time, the town the Board of Selectmen has decided that these are not more of a benefit to the town, but currently pose more of a liability because they do need a lot of assistance here in getting up to their full capacity as they once were. So those are surplus. Key sites. You know, your brokers, your lenders, everywhere is a key site to you. Southborough currently has about 27 available properties for sale or for lease in town. You're asking, well, what are these key sites? They're key sites to the Economic Development Committee. So we combed through these key sites and we identified the ones that we think need some special attention. And those are the largest contiguous spaces that we have available, that we have identified. One of the largest contiguous spaces is the former CAS building, which is 250 Turnpike. That's 57,000 square feet. It's a unique opportunity because the zoning there is flexible. So you could have it's zoned for like a medical space or an office space or a manufacturing space. So there's some flexibility there, which is interesting. And then there's 132 Turnpike Road, 225 Turnpike Road. Those buildings, they're contiguous spaces of upwards of plus or minus 25,000 square feet, and they're third floor opportunity. So it's like you got the whole third floor opportunity right there. And then the 337 Turnpike Road is an older building, but it offers a little bit more flexibility with a more cost-friendly affordability price to that. So those are some of the priority sites that we've identified as and working to fill. So when we're hearing businesses, and I think it's important, I mean, do the brokers that are here, do you coordinate with other brokers? If they're like, oh, well, our building would be a good fit, maybe this building, do you guys ever volley back and forth? Is there any sort of partnership, or is it just kind of, this is what we have and what we're doing?
We work in cooperation.
Right. Right, and that's another component that we're doing with the EDC is working in regional cooperation. Tim Cummings over at the Marlborough EDC will refer businesses to me if they don't have any facilities that will suit Marlborough. I think it's keeping it in the region that is of essence, of importance. So there's my contact information, and I am very excited to next introduce our building inspector, Mark Roberto. And what I'd like to say about Mark Roberto before he gets up is he's an expert in what he does. And I'm going to quote him and say, he knows what it's like to be on the other side of the hammer. So customer service is his business, as well as the permitting in the town. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mark. Right there, you just push the arrow to the right, and then it'll
So, good morning, everyone.
Morning, Mark.
I'm going to get over here on the side because I actually have to be able to read what I'm doing over here. So I have a very brief presentation this morning on the building codes and the building permit process. Come on in, come on in.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. So, for the next few minutes, I'm going to talk briefly about what is a building code, the history of building codes, which you may find interesting. What is a building permit? Why is a building permit required? And what is the building permit process here in Southborough? So, a building code covers a variety of regulations. These regulations pertain to, among other things, height, area, egress, light and ventilation, structural goals and stresses. So, the Mass State Building Code is a model code. It's adopted from the International Code Council, and it's consists of the international building, residential, energy, mechanical, and fire codes. So early codes. So what is the first recorded building code? Does anybody know the first recorded building code, or have a guess? Or so it's important to know that building codes are adopted or changed as a result of there's an emergency followed by a tragedy, and then they make a building code. It's bizarre that that's the way it happens, but it does. So I'm going to give you some examples that you can look at. So was the first building code the result of the 1942 Coconut Grove nightclub fire in Boston, or the 1871 Chicago fire? Or does anybody think it was the 1666 Great London Fire? Or was the first written building code, does it go all the way back to 27 AD in the Roman Empire, where a collapse of an amphitheater killed or injured 50,000 people? Does anybody have a guess?
Roman Empire.
Roman Empire.
Roman Empire, good guess. So actually, all four of these are examples of building codes, the tragedies that result in building codes. Does anybody think it goes back further than 27 AD?
Well,
Absolutely. So Hammurabi, the Code of King Hammurabi of the Babylonian Empire is the earliest known building code, written in 2200 BC. And basically what he said is, if a builder builds a house and the construction is not firm, and that house collapses and kills the owner, then the builder shall be put to death. And that's he's the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth king. You remember your history?
That's no longer,
Well, the penalties for bad building is much less severe today, let's just say that. So how is Hammurabi's code different from today's code? Hammurabi's code was a performance regulation. It states the purpose to be accomplished. Today we use largely prescriptive regulations. They describe exactly what materials and methods are to be used, as well as size and location of components. So a prescriptive regulation, you'd actually look it up in the code book, and a performance regulation would be, you'd have an architect or an engineer design it for you. So what is a building permit? A building permit is a legal license to build and required for new buildings, additions, renovations, alterations, demolitions, electrical, plumbing, HVAC. Why is a building permit required? It provides the means for code officials to protect health, safety, and welfare by reducing the potential hazards of unsafe construction. It provides the means for code officials to inspect construction to ensure that minimum standards for materials and methods are used. So the building permit process here in Southborough, you have the pre-application consultation. Prior to application, consult with the building official, so talk to me. So this is probably the most important step. Number two, application, submit application with documentation. You have to review the application for completeness and compliance with building and zoning. A decision is rendered. There's a number of permit inspections, and then there's a CO that's issued. So if you get nothing else out of this, this little presentation, know that I'm available to contact me. If you have a client that has, for instance, they want to come to Southborough and they have questions on building and zoning, give me a call. I'm here. I'll talk to you. I'll talk to them. And we do it every day. I have real estate people call me up every day asking me questions.
and all this is on the town's website, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So in Southborough, we have a streamlined permit application. That includes the ability to apply for plumbing, gas, and electrical permits online, which speeds things along. Part of my job is to identify any issues. So that means that when the applicant comes in, we'll look at it and we'll say, are there any issues, maybe with a new construction or addition, are there any issues with wetlands or open space, or does it possibly need to go to the planning board for a major or minor site plan review? Does it need to go to the zoning board for a special permit or a variance? So provided there's no land use issues, the permit turnaround time is actually really quick. So I actually had a commercial person come in this week on a Monday to do a tenant fit out on Route 9, and he had the permit Tuesday morning. So I don't always turn it around that fast, but it's usually really fast. So here's my contact information. Call me if you have any questions. I'm here to help you, and thank you very much.
So next I'd like to introduce Nelson, and I'm going to let Nelson introduce himself because his resume was like the home run that Yogi Berra hit at Fenway or wherever he played. But Nelson is from Harvard University, and they're at a very, very exciting time in their stage of evolution for that property. And without further ado, I would like to introduce Nelson. Thank you for being here.
I'm just going to give a quick and a brief overview of where we are with the Southborough campus. Southborough campus was the New England Primate Research Center for over 50 years. And in May of 2015, that center ceased to exist based on decisions made by Harvard to close it. We, in the process, have been working and focused on, over that 2-year period of closure, just focused on getting research programs relocated to other places to keep the research going, and also think about what we're going to do with the Southborough campus. As of today, all the closure activities, or most of the closure activities, are completed, and we have met with the Board of Selectmen from Southborough, the Mayor's office from Marlborough, and with Pam more recently, about what ideas and what we can look forward to for repurposing efforts on the campus, because we're now focused on that part of doing something with the 130 acres that we have. There's 130 acres of open, beautiful, woodsy setting for entities of just about any kind. The facilities, there's about 140,000 square feet, 4 buildings that remain on the campus that can be easily renovated and changed to fit different needs, or to continue to do biomedical research. There are the majority of the buildings, if not all of them, are located in Southborough, but the entrance to the campus is in Marlborough. So that's where the dual association comes from with Marlborough and Southborough from Harvard's standpoint. We share the campus with the Harvard Book Depository, which is about 180,000 square foot facility that houses all of the records from Harvard that go back, way back, all of the artifacts, all of the rare book collections and things like that. So it's a viable part of the campus that will always be there. It has a very extensive facility, very specific HVAC control because of the rare books and things. It's a very interesting facility to tour, and maybe one of these days we can set some up, because it is really something. It's like the Indiana Jones movie at the end where he's bringing the Ark into the warehouse at the end of it. It's something similar to that. There's a lot of amenities on the campus already. The buildings that remain, 3 of them are relatively new. One of them is strictly a research facility. The other 2 are combinations of research, meeting, and animal facilities. And then we have the original building that was the start of the Primate Center that was built in 1966. It's a combination of meeting, laboratory, and office spaces. Our flagship building is really, from a research standpoint, is our research building number 6. It was built in 2006, and it has some of the nicest state-of-the-art open lab design research space on the main floor, along with a 108-seat auditorium and a 20-seat conference room that Pam has seen and others have seen, the selectmen have seen it. It's a very nice place. We are thinking of moving towards opening up the campus now that we are no longer doing research on it, to involve the communities more and do more community outreach. So those are some of the things that we're thinking about. But for the most part, what we're thinking about doing is trying to bring a research entity out there, or other entities that we may be able to talk to the brokers about, or they may have ideas, or clients that are coming in that would be interested in the kind of setting that we have on the Southborough campus. Which one of these arrows?
The one to the right, yeah.
So we have about 140,000 square feet of facilities. As I mentioned, the Research Building 6 is our flagship from a research standpoint, but the space is so variable and so easily changeable that we could really do just about anything out there with the spaces that we have. The main building, the 70,000 square feet, it's a lot of space. There's a lot of laboratory space in it, and it's an older building, so it would need definitely would need some upgrades, whereas the others would not. 5 and 7 built in the early 2000s, and then Building 7 was finished in 2011 and occupied in 2012. So it's relatively new facilities. All these facilities have full emergency generator backup. Each one of the buildings do. So we're excited about the opportunity to work with the economic development committees and councils in Marlborough and Southborough, and we're hoping that some of the ideas that we can come up with will come to fruition over the next year or so. So I appreciate your time.
Great. And we appreciate you being here.
Any questions?
Do you have anything brewing in terms of possible tenants or?
We don't. We've discussed a few things. There were several ideas that came out of as a result of the closure of the Primate Center, how are we going to repurpose the campus. There was a training center, there was a data center and disaster recovery site for Harvard. There was a biorepository, which is a freezer farm for the ultra-low freezers that are used in research to get them out of the research space and make the space more adaptable for them for research purposes rather than for storage of samples, important samples long-term. So those are some of the things that we're thinking about and we could do on the campus and might do, but we have not, we really haven't looked at a lot of firm things as of yet because, as I mentioned earlier, we were focused on the closure aspects of the center and then now we're trying to focus on what do we do with the campus.
Do you need anything from the town or Marlborough focus groups to discuss opportunities or what we could do?
Well, I think what we need is to do these kinds of things, is to meet with the folks from time to time over the next several months and get some ideas from them or even some contacts that they might have that might be interested in coming out to the campus and setting up operations out there. When the campus was working at its full capacity, there were about 240 people that worked at the Primate Center. There are 18 people that work daily at the depository, and we don't see that changing much because they're really not going to add on very much more onto that building. It's pretty much where they're at. They have a little bit of added capacity or extra capacity now that they will use for the future, and they're looking at other venues for accommodating the storage of the kinds of documents and things that they're looking at. So I don't think that we would, and now that we've actually gone through the demolition process on 3 of the older buildings on the campus, so we've reduced the square footage, but we've also reduced the occupancy space too. So we wouldn't probably see, more than 200 people like there was before on the campus if we were to put it back in full use again and use the 4 buildings that are remaining. It just depends on the kind of entity that we get to come in and do something on the campus. And it could be varied. It could be more than one entity that comes in and occupies space and does things. These are all ideas and all reasons why we're here today, is to try to maybe get some feedback from you as to what you think we might be able to do with the campus and how we should be incorporating those thoughts with Harvard's plans for what it thinks it can do with the campus.
Are the buildings for sale or lease or both?
Well, hi, I'm Rick Shea, I
Sorry.
work with Nelson. We're not putting it up for sale, and wouldn't rule that out in the future. And we haven't really even put a for lease sign on anything yet. We work with RBJ Transwestern to do a lot of work in town. We would certainly, welcome any sort of other broker relationships working with them, but we haven't really put a sign on it, Dan, at this point. As Nelson says, principally, we just want to be good neighbors. We've been so welcomed, and we've had great collaboration with the town and with the city of Marlborough. There's nothing we would do that we wouldn't obviously talk to you guys first about, and that's where Nelson's coming from, that if you have ideas, we're all ears. You know, it's Harvard, so we take the long view of things. I mean, it's not as if it's not a fire sale. You know, other things might come up at some point, you know, with respect to the needs of the university over time. But in the meantime, it's a nice campus.
Oh, it's a beautiful facility.
The facility is nice. So we just want to, you know, Chris has been really helpful as we thought about you know, what was happening with this. We've talked for a couple of years about potential ideas. So really, I mean, the sky's the limit. One thing we can say is that the book depository isn't going to go anywhere. They're likely to stay there. And so we're just putting out feelers, I guess that's what you call this.
Are there any unique challenges with the, you know, the dual, you know, Southborough, Marlborough? Is that an issue at all for anyone who may?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, you know, there's probably zoning issues that would come up, certainly. But I don't think in terms of, you know, what the city and the town, I don't think there'd be differing opinions, let's put it that way, because we would work together on it. One of the things that, you know, is a consideration is that it's 130 acres, but there's a lot of ledge up there. There's a lot of it isn't buildable anyway. And I think most people know that it backs right up to the DCR space, the backup reservoir of MWRA, you know, is right there. So, you know, there's a lot of open space that's probably likely to remain open space for a long time. The actual area is, Dan knows and Chris knows and people have seen it, the area that is built is really kind of a small part in the center of the campus, and there's a lot around it that's just empty, and frankly, probably a lot of that isn't buildable anyway. But I think so there are topographic, geographic, you know, constraints, and certainly, you know, we're not talking about, I don't think either city, either municipality would be interested in, you know, a large development there, and it's a residential area. We'd have to figure out what really made sense. And that's why, you know, we enjoy the relationship we have with you folks, and we're open to suggestions.
Solar or septic?
It's on, it actually goes to the Feast of the Marlborough system. It was apparently a septic system years and years ago, and they, before my time there, they hooked up to Marlborough.
For those that might be interested, can you speak a little bit, there was a reference on the slide, but can you speak a little bit to the security setup there? Not only access and egress security gating, but also perimeter?
The security system was set up for a number of reasons, and it's layered for regulatory requirement reasons when we were a full research center for both the animals that we had housed on the campus and also for some of the scientific equipment that was on the campus. So we have a complete thermal fence that brings the research part of the campus into depository that's still active, and we have security cameras all over the campus, all over the buildings and everything. So that, and then we have 24/7 security guards on site too. So there's always been a sense of security. There always will be a sense of security, and I think even though once we determine what we're going to do with the campus, there'll still be a need for that. Whether or not we need to keep the thermal fence and things like that, probably not, because those again were layers of security that were built for regulatory reasons, the regulatory agencies that we were dealing with at the time, USDA and others. So, but I mean, the campus is kind of isolated, as Rick mentioned. We're set back over half a mile from the Parmenter Road. And the buildings are clustered in the middle of the campus, probably on a total of maybe, 30 acres of the 130, and that's including the depository. So the 4 buildings that are left provide and present a really nice quad effect. So they're, you know, like in a little circle kind of thing. So there's a lot of, there'd be a lot of nice interactive opportunities. There's no way to get to the buildings without going outside, but they're not, it's not like it's a huge inconvenience to walk from one building to the other because they're very close in proximity. And all the buildings are card reader access. The security gate is daily and 24/7. And it has an intercom system on it so that when people come that don't have access to the campus, they just hit the buzzer and it brings into the security office and they let us know who it is that's coming and they come up.
I have a question, Nelson. Do you have, I saw that it was on the power contact of zoned residential.
Yes.
Do you have any plans to change that zoning anytime? Or do you just plan on maintaining that zoning and finding a fit that fits within that zoning for this?
I think that we would probably look to keep the zoning the way it is, as long as we keep our operations for whatever we do on the campus that exists today.
Mm-hmm.
If we were to move outside that immediate area where the buildings have been for years now, I think that like if we decided to do some kind of development down by Parmenter Road, down by the entrance or something, I think we would have to go back to the zoning boards to figure that out. Mm-hmm. But I think as long as we keep it where we are today and do something simpler or less industrial, something more clean than heavy industrial stuff, then we'd probably be okay with the zoning that we have, because that's the way it's been now for over 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think you mentioned that you've gotten rid of some older buildings.
Yeah.
Does that mean then there's space kind of in your 30-acre quad area where there could be additional buildings put in?
It's possible, sure, depending on what the town was willing to approve. But yeah.
Great.
Great. Does anyone have any other questions for Nelson?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And does anyone have any other questions before we close our breakfast? Anyone? Well, I want to thank you all for joining us today. And like I said earlier, partnership. We don't work in silos. We work together, and that's how we keep our flow flowing. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, good morning. My name is Mark Roberto. I'm the building commissioner with the town of Southborough. And, customer service starts with our automated permitting system. We have online permits, which allow you to apply for plumbing, gas, and electrical permits online. And then I personally sit with each applicant to go through not only their permit, the application, the complete application, but to answer any questions, so that way I can quickly turn around and issue building permits.
Hi, my name is Sue Mancarius. I'm here to present Marlboro Savings Bank. It's a wonderful community. I came here to attend the breakfast, and it was a pleasure to meet all the folks here and to help with the community.
Gary Holmes with RW Holmes Realty, and delighted to be here this morning at the Southborough EDC event. And we've had great success with a lot of our clients moving them into the Southborough area. Very strategically located right on Route 9, easy access to Mass Pike and 495, but most importantly, the whole permitting process for a lot of our companies to move into the space. They are very, very responsive. They've done a great job getting our tenants in on time, and most important, when our clients have moved into Southborough, they've really been delighted with the location, the service, and the community in general. So we highly endorse Southborough.
Today, I wanted to thank everyone for joining us. The message today, more importantly, is partnership in this important ecosystem that we have in Southborough with the brokers, the lenders, the Economic Development Committee, and everyone who helps make Southborough a great place to live, work, and play. My name is Pam DiGiovanni, and for more information, you can reach me at www.southboroughedc.com or on email pdgiovanni@southboroughma.com. Thank you again.